Glory to Jesus Christ. I'm Father Gregory Jensen. Welcome to St. Cyril Methodius Orthodox Church. Today is August 19th, and it is the Feast of the Transfiguration in the Orthodox Church. It's a feast which is celebrated in the West, in the Catholic and Episcopal churches, on August 6th, but we're on a slightly different calendar, so it comes 13 days later for us. Transfiguration is really one of my favorite feasts, and it really is the reason that I'm an Orthodox Christian and a priest. A lot of times people will ask, "Well, Father Gregory, why did you become Orthodox?" And they expect that I had possibly some theological differences with the Catholic Church, where I had been baptized as an infant, where I had when I till I was part of until I was 31. But really, fundamentally, while there are certainly some theological differences, and I am aware of those, it was the feast of the Transfiguration that led me to the Orthodox Church, and specifically a lot of the theological discussions that arose around the Feast of Transfiguration during the 14th century in the writings of Saint Gregory of Palamas, who's my patron saint. The theological controversy that Palamas engaged in was whether or not the disciples on Transfiguration on Mount Tabor saw the divine light with bodily eyes, with their fleshly eyes, or whether they just had sort of an internal spiritual or psychological experience. And for Palamas, the answer was very direct, that the disciples, Peter, James, and John, actually saw the divine light, the light of God, with their bodily eyes. And his argument was is that had they not seen the divine light, then they would not have encountered God, because we are bodily beings, and what we perceive through the senses. And even when we have an intellectual thought, it's based on an abstraction from sense data. So we had to see God and not just have an idea about God. The line that really struck me as a young man was in one of St. Gregory's polemical works, where he defended the idea that we could see God with bodily eyes. And he said, God is not only beyond our unknowing, but our knowing, not only beyond our knowing, but our unknowing as well. And then he goes on to say, and we see something, but in a way superior to negation. And that last line, we see something in a way superior to negation, just really struck me. And as I was sitting there in the chapel and where I was reading, I realized that I needed to understand that. I needed to know what it was to know God in a way that was beyond negation. And I didn't know what that was. Still don't know what that is. But I remember saying to God, I need to do and go wherever it is, do whatever it needs to do to understand that. And I realized I was reading St. Gregory Palamas, and this is what I had to do. I had to go and follow St. Gregory, and that this seemed to be a unique insight of the Orthodox Church, that God is beyond our knowing and unknowing, and that we perceive something but in a way superior to negation. That was it, really. I can do the theological polemics back and forth between East and West, Orthodoxy and Catholicism, and I can do it all day. And honestly, I can do both sides with equal facility. But for me, but for me, the reason I am an Orthodox Christian is to understand what it is to know God in a way which is beyond negation, to know the God who is beyond our knowing and our unknowing. Over the years, I've come to realize, and I think I even realized in that moment, to know God in this way, the way beyond knowing and unknowing, is to let go of perceiving God as an object of my own intellect, or God of my own physical vision. And rather, it is to come to the moment of not so much knowing God, but being known by God, not seeing God, but being seen by God, and coming to see myself and the world around me as God sees them, to know creation as God knows it. This requires a radical reorientation of our psychology, of our way of perceiving the world. And this is what I found as an Orthodox Christian. I found it by the grace of God, to be sure, but also within the tradition of the Orthodox Church. So, Father Gregory, you ask, why are you an Orthodox Christian? Because I want to know God in a way beyond knowing and unknowing. I want to see in a way beyond negation. That's really it. It is that mystical theology that attracted me to the Orthodox Church. It's why I'm an Orthodox Christian. It's why I'm a priest. It's why I do what I do. Anyway, in about an hour, well, hour and a half actually, we'll have liturgy here for the Feast of the Transfiguration. At the end of liturgy, we'll bless grapes because that's what we do. We bless creation, and especially in this case, grapes, as a sign of the first fruits of creation. And I hope if you have some time this morning, you are able to join us for some or all of liturgy. As always, if you're watching, please, give a little thumbs up or a heart or something, just so that we know you're there. Maybe make a comment. If you have any questions about what I've talked about today, feel free to ask them in the comments section, either on Facebook or YouTube. And hope to be able to pray with you a bit later today. All right. So God bless everyone, and hope your day goes well, that you have a joyous feast of the Transfiguration, and we'll talk again soon. All right. Bye-bye.